Okay, welcome. Today I wanted to just make a reflection about the grief that men hold, and just wanted to talk about that. Okay, so today I just thought I'd offer a reflection about grief, and in particular with men. So just want to say first off that women have grief, and yet what I'm going to talk about today is about the grief with men, because that's what I have experience of, and that is what I've had an experience of moving through. So in my own life, I felt that I was not allowed to grieve, that from a young age it wasn't okay to cry. If I was upset, I was punished for it, and then I punished myself. If I was grieving or I was upset, then I would be really hard on myself. And this is what I see with men, is that we are, there's part of us that really holds a lot of grief. And it might be from being as a child, maybe it was you lost a pet or a loved one or a friend, and you were upset. And rather than being allowed to grieve, your parents, people around you, because it triggered on their own inability to grieve, they told you, come on, get on with it, you'll be fine, come on, grow up. Or boys don't cry, and therefore we put a lid on it. And what happens after a while is, from others telling us not to grieve or not to get upset, then we start to, because it's really painful when that happens, we start to be even tougher with ourselves, because it's much preferable to be tough on ourselves than to receive the humiliation of others laughing at us. I remember in particular when I was 11 at boarding school, I was upset, I didn't want to be there, and I burst into tears. And all of the dormitory, that's 25 people, we didn't have doors, so they came into my cubicle and they just started laughing at me and prodding me, humiliating me, saying, cross is not so tough now. And so it was like, after that, I learned not to grieve and not to show my weakness, my tears. But how that affects us, on a traditional Chinese medicine, is we store that into our lungs, and it creates sickness. It creates illness. So it's really important that we learn to cry. And I think when I was mid-20s, I started to do process work, Jungian analysis, working with my dreams, and I started to cry. And it was probably most days for 2 years that I cried. And it felt like this big reservoir. And yet, as men, we hold that reservoir and we carry that around with us. We're like these walking time bombs almost, and that's our anger as well, but I'll talk about that at a different time. But our grief, it's like in relationships, we come into relationships with grief that might have had painful breakups, and we make that intention when we have a painful breakup. No, I don't want to have a painful breakup like that again, and we shut our hearts down. But the river, the water, the emotion, it has to flow. When it doesn't flow, it starts to build up, and either we get sick, either we have this outburst, or it putrefies. It's like we're not alive, we've become these zombies. And therefore it's so important for us to grieve, to cry. As men, it's like shoulders back, it's like it's okay to cry. And if you want to watch a really powerful film where men are crying, it's called The Work. And it's in a prison, Folsom Prison in America, and it follows a group of men doing men's work over 4 days. And one of the men in particular, he says, this is the way men cry. It's with shoulders back, and you cry head up. Not hiding. No longer do we hide our tears. We grieve. And then we let it go. The river flows. And we change, and then we're lighter. We've moved on. But tears need to be felt, men. We need to grieve. We're just frightened of getting lost in that. And don't worry, we don't get lost in that. The tears, the reservoir has to be released so it can be a natural, beautiful flow. So please, as always, if you've got any questions, please do comment below. And yeah, if this resonates with you, maybe you feel you've done it and you've released your grief, and please share that. So yeah, I always appreciate your feedback and your support. So many blessings, and let your tears go. If you want more about how to release grief, then please, yeah, do let me know. Okay, many blessings.